The first chapter of the manga opens with the wrestlers, Daniel, the Crusher, and Kwon Young Min, the Master, standing in a wrestling ring face to face, ready to battle, with the audience clapping behind them. In comparison to Daniel, Kwon Young Min appears to be nothing more than a little child when seen from his vantage point. Daniel is a towering and strong individual. Daniel rushes in to hit Kwon Young Min with his fist, but Kwon Young Min easily avoids it. Kwon Young Min then knocks out the other player with a single kick in under 2 seconds, which leaves everyone startled, and the referee announces that the winner is Master Kwon Young Min. A news reporter approaches Kwon Young Min after the contest is completed to inquire about the athlete's feelings over his triumph. In reaction to this, Kwon Young Min declares that he is overjoyed to have won and that, as of right this now, he truly does occupy the highest position in the world of martial arts, thus, he is going to retire right now. Kwon Young Min is relaxing at home in front of his television the next morning as he watches the news about his unexpected announcement of retirement. He thinks that things will be disorderly at first, but that things will eventually settle down and become tranquil. The next instant, his sister Min Young comes there and she smacks him. She advises him to go out and make some friends or do something else, but he asks her where he can even find friends to make. His sister is the first to admit that it is tough for him to meet friends now due to the fact that he has spent his whole life on the outside looking in. After that, she makes the suggestion that he go to the gym. However, Kwon Young Min informs her that he will not be working out anymore because he has retired and would instead just rest for the time being. As a consequence of this, his sister becomes incensed and demands to know the rationale for allowing him to retire at the tender age of 24. She is of the opinion that retirement is something that ought to be celebrated and boasted about. To which his sister answers that he will gain weight in no time if he goes on relaxing like this, and proposes that he play the virtual game Final Saga as she turns on the television to watch an interview with a player of Final Saga. His sister is a fan of Final Saga. The player Ashton is questioned by the interviewer about his thoughts on the prospect of a real-life martial arts practitioner, like Kwon Young Min, participating in the game. Even more boastful than before, Ashton declares that there is no one else left who can compete with him and he. Kwon Young Min, after hearing all of this, comes to the conclusion that he will play Final Saga and put up a challenge to Ashton. The next thing that happens is that Kwon Young Min travels to the building where Final Saga is located in order to get himself enrolled, and everyone there is shocked by his look. When Kwon Young Min asks the receptionist where he can play the Final Saga, the receptionist tells him that he needs to get a body scan first and then takes him into a separate room for the body scan for his abilities. When the girl saw the results of the scan, she was taken aback, as his strength, agility and stamina all are max. In the meantime, in the operator room, where the operators are trying to add extra points in Kwon Young Min's profile because he is a pro joining the game, and according to the rules on getting 20 points for an international championship and 5 points for a domestic championship, after adding all of Kwon Young Min's victories, the staff could not believe at the score he got. Kwon Young Min, on the other hand, rouses himself from a deep nap after a considerable amount of time has passed, and then decides to play Final Saga. As soon as he switches the switch on the helmet, he has the sense of falling down and landing in front of a virtual window, which is when the game begins. Also, quick reminder as we are going through the recap, if you are new to the channel, around 52% of viewers are watching, are not already subscribed, and if that's you and you want to guarantee you're always up to date with all good content like this, so feel free to hit that subscribe button and join us on the road to 1 million subs. And if you enjoy the video or if you found it interesting, let me know by dropping a like and comment on it as well, which would be seriously appreciated. Let's continue. Kwon is beginning to feel confused after receiving all of these notifications, and soon a message appears asking him to select a name for his character. He makes the decision to go with the name Rian despite the fact that he hadn't previously given the matter any attention. All of a sudden, a plethora of bars pertaining to account and character data begin to display. As he types in the name, he sees a second version of himself that is dressed in a gaming outfit of green color appear in front of him. After that, the display asks Kwon if he would like to begin a tutorial, to which he responds in the affirmative. Following that, the battle between Rian and another monster that is continually hitting him begins, but Rian is able to quickly dodge all of the other creatures' strikes. This session is being watched by the personnel in the operator room, and they are all impressed by Kwon's abilities. They also remark that this instruction is sufficient to shatter all records in the category. In the meantime, Kwan's sister shares the news with her friend that Kwan has officially joined the game, which leads her friend to become extremely ecstatic. Nevertheless, Kwan's sister asks her friend why she seems worried, and her friend responds that she knows Kwan Young-min has never given anything his full potential. In fact, it is more accurate to say that he never had the chance to unleash his full potential because this world is too small and fragile to accept it. Kwan Young-min is currently at the 30th level of the virtual game Final Saga Doppelganger, and is getting ready to compete against another player. Kwan is excited to fight another player and has the intention of winning the match with a single blow. His opponent attempts to attack Kwan first, but Kwan is able to quickly dodge him and attack him. He then performs a leg strike to kick his opponent, and with that, Kwan wins the fight and completes his training. Final score, all kill. First place currently holds in the overall standings that have been compiled. Final evaluation, SSS. A martial bone was presented to him as a token of appreciation for the exceptional job that he did in the training session. He must now choose between obtaining a nature's body or a martial god's body, but Kwan is unaware of the significance of either of these titles. He must make his choice as quickly as possible. As a consequence of this, he decides to conduct research on both subjects, during which he learns that martial arts is one of the subjects. Kwan made the decision to go with the second option because he wants to learn something new despite the fact that he was already at the pinnacle of martial arts because to the martial bone alteration that took place in his body. The power of pure martial arts combat is increased by God's body. The battle strength of skills is increased by using nature's body. While all of this is taking place, Kwan's sister and her friend are still at the cafe where they were earlier, pondering the various ways in which they can help Kwan out. In contrast, Kwan is engaged in conflict with a pack of wolves, yet he is easily able to prevail over them. He has arrived at the conclusion that this circumstance is not unusual in any way. Instantaneously, he became aware of several other gamers who were attempting to combat the wolves. At that same time, a status window appears and presented Rian's, the name of Kwan's character, current state that include his species, gender, level, job status, health, hunger, thrust, power and agility, and also shows ability points were not spent on this character. Kwan theorizes that the existence of a 45-point premium on everything could be attributable to the martial bone. Kwan decides to ignore the weird calculations, and as a result, he travels into a high-level zone without realizing it. It was right at the moment when he was waking up while he was traveling that he heard growling sounds, and immediately after that, a pack of blue wolves of level 25 materialized in front of him. He is perplexed as to how it went from level 10 to level 25 so quickly, but he still readies himself for the fight against Unfazed. As Kwan readies himself to engage in combat with the wolves, the ground suddenly begins to shake, causing the wolves to flee in terror. This is due to the fact that the Wild Forest King Grizzly Bear, level 35, has suddenly materialized and is growling wildly as it attempts to attack Kwan Young-min. This catches Kwan off guard due to the fact that the bear is surprisingly quick considering its enormous size. However, Kwan is unfazed by the bear and uses his ability to see the weaknesses of grizzly bears to determine that the mouth is the animal's primary vulnerability. After finding bear's weak point, Kwan gets ready to combat the bear. Bear attacks him several times, which he escape all and jump to strike bear's mouth with his fist. He then attacked the bear again, kicking his jaw this time after continually assaulting bear's face. Kwan finally defeats him and earn various achievements. Screen appears informing Kwan he has earned killed a bear at level 1 achievement. Levels are just number achievement. Lord of the Forest achievement. 5% increased damage on every attack. With that, Kwan Young-min gets new gloves that are shaped as bear paws, that have various powers. Kwan is very happy to have those gloves and thinks about Min Young, his sister, and what she advised him about stat pools. That every stat pool have importance in this game and don't just randomly disturb it. Thinking about him reminds him that she asked him to text her once he enters the game, but Kwan thinks she is not in the game, so there is no point in messaging her and continue to enjoy himself alone. Meanwhile, the operator of Final Saga are amazed and worried after seeing Kwan's unbelievable performance in the game. The staff wonders who this new user is. The admin team must know, to which the other employee says this against users' rights, and maybe it is a user used for testing. Or maybe he is not even a human, just an AI to test their game, but the head of staff is furious and starts yelling, how will they be able to make this month's report? One of her subordinates brings her coffee to calm her down. That kind of worked, and she sits peacefully and make that employee in charge of this new mysterious user. On the other hand, Kwon reaches a village named Barrow's Village, also known as Village for Beginners. As he enters the village, everyone is stunned by seeing his gloves and think he must be a pro using his Smurf account to visit village. A group of boys come to him and starts asking for favors. One of the guys say if he can give him an equipment that is trash to him. He just died today, but Kwon ignores them and continues walking, so the boys think he is arrogant. Anyways, Kwon is looking for a guild house for professions, as he needs to get a profession to survive in this world. He finally reaches at the fighting guild. In the guild house, Kwon meets a huge muscular man, who asks him how did you come here, and ask him if he knows it is martial arts guild or if wanted to go somewhere else, to which Kwon says no, he actually want to change his profession as a martial artist. That makes the man extremely happy that finally someone understood the value of martial arts. He then gives Kwon a paper and tell him to place his hand on the paper. If he wants to change his profession, this will register him for a new profession. But as Kwon puts his hand on the paper, but something went wrong. As the man checks, it was a natural delay. Kwon asks him if everything was alright, and the man says yes, and gives him a book to choose one skill from the given skills. Kwon is so unimpressed by the skills and understands why this place is so empty. Anyhow, he chooses a skill and remarks this place is really unimpressive, at which the man apologizes, and after Kwon leaves, he wonders how he had the legendary natural delay. Wandering the town, Kwon thinks he needs to get a quest, but he don't know where he will get it. He thinks if he should fight some stronger opponents for a bit, and reaches at the hunting ground where he sees sick orcs level 28. He thinks to attack it, but some other player have him first. He was disappointed but tries to find another one, and this he go for a vanguard, but miss it again. He thinks he needs to get fast to catch a vanguard and tries again and get success. Just then a girl comes and say if he don't have manners, she attacked the monster first, but he stole the kill. But Kwon refused to agree and say he attacked the creature first. The girl gets angry and say if that is how someone should play at this high level, and then leaves. Subscribe to watch more videos like these, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next part.